From Washington, here is the news in VOA Special English. A ceasefire that stopped 8 days of deadly fighting between Israel and Hamas held Thursday. Thousands of Gaza's residents gathered in the streets. Gaza's Prime Minister praised the territory's many militant groups for respecting the ceasefire. VOA's Scott Bobb is in Gaza City.
Residents of Gaza passed the first peaceful night in more than a week. There were a few rockets fired overnight, but no Israeli response, except that in the hour before dawn or so, there were drone airplanes heard overhead, but again, no firing from the Israelis. So far, the ceasefire appears to be holding. Shops are beginning to reopen, and although many of the government offices have been bombed and are destroyed, so they will not be opening, some of the private businesses are likely to be open.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said his government was giving the ceasefire a chance, but he said it was prepared for the possibility that it would not continue. Schools remained closed in southern Israel, which was hit by rockets fired from Gaza during the fighting. More than 140 Palestinians and 5 Israelis were killed in the fighting. Russia has warned against the possible deployment of missiles near Turkey's border with Syria. A Russian Foreign Ministry spokesman said Thursday that Turkey's request for the missiles from its NATO allies would affect the stability of the area. NATO ambassadors met Wednesday to consider Turkey's request. Turkey asked for the missiles after weeks of talks with its NATO allies about how to strengthen security on its 900-kilometer-long border with Syria. NATO Secretary General Anders Fogh Rasmussen said the missiles would strengthen Turkey's air defenses and would ease the crisis along the border. Turkish villages at the border have been hit by artillery fire from Syria, as forces loyal to the government fight the rebels trying to oust President Bashar al-Assad. European Union leaders met for talks on the budget Thursday. The Union's wealthy and poorer nations disagree about a 7-year spending plan that supports programs to increase farming and growth in less developed EU nations. British Prime Minister David Cameron wants spending levels to remain the same. He says he will use his veto power if necessary.
Clearly, at a time when we're making difficult decisions at home over public spending, it is quite wrong for there to be proposals for this increased extra spending in the EU. So we're going to be negotiating very hard for a good deal for Britain's taxpayers and for Europe's taxpayers.
The European Commission, part of the EU, wants more spending. It says that will help create jobs and economic growth. The Pakistani Taliban says it will answer India's execution of a Pakistani man who took part in a 3-day terror attack in Mumbai. Mohammed Ajmal Kasab was hanged in western India Wednesday. He had been found guilty of murder and war against India. The attacks in 2008 killed 166 people. The Pakistani Taliban says India must return the body of Mohammed Kasab to his family in Pakistan or to the Taliban. If not, the Taliban says it will attack Indian targets. The Philippines is protesting an image of a map on China's new passports. The Philippines argues that the image represents Chinese territorial claims over the entire South China Sea. Philippine Foreign Secretary Albert del Rosario says the map included an area that belongs to the Philippines. The two countries have long disputed territory in the South China Sea. There have been many incidents of tension between Chinese and Philippine ships in the area. The financial company Fitch has lowered its ratings of technology producers Sony and Panasonic. The move means the two Japanese companies' debts are not considered a safe investment. Fitch said it was lowering Sony by 3 rating levels and Panasonic by 2. Japan's technology industry is facing weak demand and fierce competition from businesses like Apple and Samsung. You are listening to the news in VOA Special English. New fighting is reported in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The rebel group M23 is fighting government forces in the town of Sake. Earlier this week, M23 said it had captured the town. The rebels also have rejected demands to withdraw from Goma. They seized control of the town Tuesday. They say they will stay in Goma and wait for negotiations. The group is demanding talks with DRC President Joseph Kabila. Officials in Sudan say they have arrested the country's former intelligence chief for a reported plot to damage national security. Sudan's information minister announced the arrest of Salah Ghosh and others Thursday. Mr. Ghosh is among a number of military and intelligence officers suspected of involvement in the reported plot. The International Criminal Court has charged the wife of the former president of Ivory Coast with crimes against humanity. Simone Gbagbo is married to Laurent Gbagbo. He is being detained at the court in The Hague, awaiting trial on similar charges. Simone Gbagbo is also being detained, but in Ivory Coast, on charges that she helped to organize the violence that happened in the country in 2010 and 2011. Her husband was defeated in his attempt to be re-elected, but he refused to accept defeat. He was ousted, but not before there was much violence. Finally, Americans marked the Thanksgiving holiday Thursday. The holiday, with a turkey dinner, is an important part of American life. More than 43 million people are expected to travel at least 80 kilometers to attend holiday gatherings between now and Sunday. Until recently, large stores were closed on the holiday. The day after Thanksgiving, called Black Friday, was one of the busiest shopping days of the year. But in recent years, stores have begun to open on Thanksgiving night, and not every American is happy about that.